Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan and thanks for joining us for our Monday update for July the 3rd. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. On the animated wind map, this one from WeatherWatch and IBM, showing all the thunderstorms when we recorded this video. Now those storms are moving out to the east of the country because that main Antarctic portion of the wind is also moving out to the east. So that mix of warm and cold starting to disappear. And so we're not going to be seeing quite as many of those big squally downpours around New Zealand, but there may still be a few more as we go through Monday and the first part of Tuesday. On the bigger picture, you can actually see that Antarctic portion being pushed out to the east. So the Chatham Islands have got it, but the mainland does not. That means the South Island today will be a couple of degrees warmer than you were yesterday, now that your airflow is coming out of Australia. But this animated wind map shows the wind. So the bright green, that shows the windiest weather. New Zealand is smack bang in the middle of that big windy sou'wester today, and we will be seeing severe gales around the country. But when we switch it to the air pressure map, which more clearly shows where the highs and lows are, you can see that the center of this stormy system is a long way from New Zealand, and we're now actually on the outer edges of it. We're actually in the squash zone between high pressure and low pressure. That's why it's a windy day today, but the instability caused by the low pressure, those big thunderstorms and squally showers and snow, that will start to ease. Some good news, actually today may not be as bad as some of the forecasts were originally indicating, mainly because this is a very messy low pressure system. But here are the winds for 6 o'clock this evening. The main area of concern in the purple out to the east and along the western coastal areas, which means it's going to be a blustery afternoon and evening in coastal parts of the country, especially the North Island, but the green inland shows some areas will be very calm. Now tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock on Tuesday morning, the worst of those winds now to the south. Still some gale force winds around Auckland, Taranaki and a few coastal areas like Otago Peninsula as well, but for the most part, windy conditions are gradually easing back. On the rain map for the next 24 hours, this is at the very bottom of the scale, the blues, the greens, the yellows. When they're together, just a few showers coming through. So most of that in the southwestern corner of the North Island, a little bit around Nelson, and then still around Southland and Otago, which have been shouldering this storm for the rest of the country, really, for the past few days. Now in Australia, some bigger rain falling for you, mostly inland for Queensland and New South Wales. Some bigger totals up there, maybe getting up around 80 or 90 millimetres, but just a few showers further south and around Perth. All right, now we can get into the forecast. So here we are at lunchtime Tuesday, New Zealand time. High pressure out in the Tasman. Windy sou'westers carry on, but they're not as bad as they've been on Monday for most places. Still a few big gusts though, and the showers, they're getting lighter and lighter on the western side, and on the eastern side, they're basically disappearing and drying out. You can see that rain in Australia as well, but that next low, that's the next one to keep an eye on for the southern states. So by Wednesday, still got that southwest flow around New Zealand, but with the high right next door, it won't be so bad. Kind of normal, in fact. And most places, temperature-wise, starting to lift up above normal. You know, despite this cold blast, we're still expecting July to be warmer than average in most places. That reminds me, our ClimateWatch update is also out today. Keep an eye out for that as we cover the month of July and also going into August and September with El Nino starting to develop. So by Thursday, here's some good news for New Zealand. Mostly dry around the country. There might be a lingering shower in Wellington and a couple of coastal places. Otherwise, dry with light winds and a cold start. There will be frosty weather in a few places, but you can see the next classic cold front coming into Australia on Thursday. So by Friday, the windy westerlies all the way from Perth to Victoria to Tasmania, but they fade out as they move towards New Zealand. They're not as windy. Showers coming through on Friday, fairly mild for New Zealand and not too stormy. The nor'westers are not exactly gale force at this stage anyway. There could be a surge of gales here and there as that system comes through on Friday night, but generally speaking, the worst of the winds are out here around Victoria, Bass Strait and Tasmania. Severe gales expected west to northwesterly on Saturday. Now this is also showing some signs of El Nino. So please do keep an eye on our ClimateWatch update out later today as we do cover the building El Nino and how our weather pattern is shaping up. Just a programming note, we have no video on Tuesday, but we do have that extra Climate Watch one, so you can keep an eye on that. Our next forecast will be back again on Wednesday. We'll see you then.